Discontinue! Discontinue!
This is Michael Kowalski, writer and performer of Mothman, True Story, and you are listening to the Unbelievers podcast. I know you wouldn't like it.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan? I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything. You know, just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's
World War, and we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby, we covered right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
The term paranormal is a very inclusive term. It is a field that is vast and varied. Aliens, ghosts, ESP, psychics, mentalists, cryptids, UFOs, channelers, and much, much more can all be lumped in under this paranormal banner of strangeness. But how does anyone know what is real and what is BS? Well, lucky for us, a famous magician rose to the challenge in the 1970s and made it his life's mission to investigate the paranormal in the hopes of proving that the unexplained was real or fake. Tonight, join us as we discuss the life of an exceptional man with the uncanny ability to seek out the suspicious claims of psychics, channelers, faith healers, and even magnet people and expose them for the hucksters they truly are. So hide those wishing machines and unbend those spoons, because we are talking the greatest investigator and debunker the world has ever seen. The one, the only, the amazing Randy. Right here on the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers podcast. I'm your host, Russ Ryan, and joining me tonight is my co-host in California, Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hello.
And in New York City, our soundboard engineer and producer, Rob Oakey.
Okay.
What's up, guys?
Man, I forgot to give you your setup. Oh, and you were all ready for it, too. Oh, man.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little off my game. I think we're all going to be a little bit. We're actually doing this live on a video stream right now as we're just recording our episode. So if we seem a little off, I don't know.
Live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/theunbelieverspodcast.
Wild.
Yeah.
This is bizarre.
Go follow us.
Yeah, sure. Get that plug out of the way. So let's just get into it because we got a fun one tonight, and I can't wait to get into it. We're talking about a hero of mine. Let's get into it now. The amazing Randy.
Stripper magician, a wonderful addition to parties and funerals, also police suspicion. I think there's something shiny behind your ear. I can also make your daughter's virginity disappear. Take a look at my magic stick. It makes dreams come true with just one lick. Flick, pulling out these scarves like I pull out of your daughter. I'm a magic man, a real Harry Potter.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Oh, my God.
Of course, stripper magician from Carolyn Costner. I love that song. Because if we're going to talk magicians, I don't know. She wanted to hear that song, so.
It's a good excuse.
That was good. I wasn't expecting that. I like it.
It always is. She's great. But that's not what we're talking about. Tonight, we are discussing a very prominent, important figure in the world of the paranormal, and that is a man named James Randi, also known as the Amazing Randy. Amazing Randy is most known for being the first and maybe only ever celebrity debunker as far as this paranormal world that we're into goes. Philip Glass, he would qualify for that as well. I think he fits in as a high level. But I would say that this man that we're going to talk about tonight, this is the number one guy. And Philip Glass, he is no Amazing Randy.
Oh, hell no. Randy's cool. Randy's really cool.
He's the coolest.
He is. He's great. And I'll tell you a little bit about his life before we get into our subject. But James Ramsey was born in Canada in 1928, and at the age of 17, he was a young man who was attracted to magic, particularly after seeing the famed magician Harry Blackstone. And he also read books on conjuring before he even graduated high school. After that, he left forever and joined a carnival as a conjurer and magician and became a well-known magical act. And a lot of his style of magic, he kind of modeled himself after Houdini-style escapism. He tried to break a lot of Houdini's records, like he was submerged in a coffin. He tried to do it longer than him, or being locked in jail cells. And this is a really fun thing I learned. He was even a very early paranormal radio host.
Really?
From 1967 to 1968, he hosted The Amazing Randy Show, where he had guests that defended paranormal claims. I think that's some good stuff, and
that's really cool.
Yeah,
we need more of that.
It makes perfect sense that he was a big Houdini fan, because all of his stuff is like very Houdini-esque, and even just like his whole aura is very Houdini-esque.
It is, and even if you think about Houdini's later life and how his life will turn, also very Houdini-like. But so at this time, when he's doing this radio show, this is 1968. Like we said, he lived a really incredible life, but it gets even better. In 1972, his career path would change, and that was mostly due to a guy named Uri Geller. I'm sure you guys have heard of Uri Geller. Uri Geller.
Yeah.
Fucking Magneto.
Spoon guy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Of course, bending the spoon. So Randy is a longtime mentalist and magician and conjurer. He would always let the audience know that he was lying, that this was a trick and a lie, but a lie for entertainment. But the problem was that not everyone was saying these kind of things about these quote-unquote abilities, and that's when the amazing Randy goes from his escapist magician to debunker of paranormal BS, and it all starts with that Uri Geller, guys. So we're going to get in a little intro now to Uri Geller, and this is from 1970s TV appearance with some commentary in there from Amazing Randy.
He's been denounced by some people as a magician, and certainly he's a showman. He gives demonstrations all over the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, Uri Geller.
He said his name was Uri Geller. The name didn't mean a thing to me. He's come to the attention of Stanford Research Institute, and the scientists there are apparently quite convinced that he has psychic powers.
What I do is telepathy, and that is, as everybody knows, is receiving thoughts and passing thoughts. And then I have the other power, which I read that they call psychokinesis, and that is moving or bending or breaking objects. It's cracking. I feel it under my fingers. See how gently it goes? Look, it's like it's becoming like plastic. And it's very.
And there it is, the fourth break. So that is Uri Geller, and he's on a show, and he's breaking spoons with his abilities, and he claims he's able to change the makeup of metal and bend it at his will. Incredible claim, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is incredible.
It's weird that, it was spoons specifically. I'm like, yeah, he can, make metal like plastic, but can he make plastic like metal?
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh, that would be
make
magical.
some money. And there's a lot of rubbing going on with a lot of these weirdos.
If you haven't ever seen Uri Geller do his thing, I would look it up on YouTube now. He does this
rubbing.
He does this thing like he just rubs it with his finger, and he's always like, it's plastic. Look, it's plastic. It's turning to plastic. And you're like, all right, dude, we get it. It's plastic.
After watching this, I want to learn it. But so I got to ask you, so why is he getting so much attention at this time? Surely there is like 1,000 new age weirdos in the early 70s. These guys are everywhere. Why is this guy on TV? You could have pulled any weirdo up there, but the reason he was on television is because he was taken to something called the SRI, the Stanford Research Institute, and he was given a battery of tests to prove his abilities, and inevitably he passed. The test he was subjected to including guessing dice in a box. Another one, they had like 10 little cylindrical containers, and he could guess which one either had a metal ball. They look like little salt shakers, and he'd fill it with water, and he could find it every time. And of course, that ability that he's best known for, bending spoons, he was tested at the Stanford Research Institute. It was sometimes forks and keys too. He could just bend the metal.
Yeah.
So
he was a big key bender guy too. Everybody loved to have their keys bent by him.
Why was that so impressive
that's great.
too?
It's like, look, I don't want my ex coming back to my house. Can you please bend this key so he can't get in?
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun party trick too. Like instead of like an animal balloon animal dude. He's like he just bends metal instead into a shape of a giraffe.
I'm not even going to claim that act like I know how he's doing it either, because when you watch it, it is pretty incredible looking. It's pretty like,
yeah.
It looks like, I mean, if you feel your ring, a ring is hard. Like try to bend a ring with your hand and it's difficult. So like,
oh, I tore a ring once, but that's because I fell and it tore on this metal fence silver bends, but it hurts. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that he can do this without hurting himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing that he impressed all these scientists at the Stanford Research Institute. And so you got to ask, though, just because so one weirdo gets through this, so how does his fame rise? Now we're going to hear from a man named Ray Hyman, an expert expert experimental psychologist.
In 1972, I got a call from Colonel Austin Kibler of the Defense Department, then acting head of ARPA, as it was called, Advanced Research Projects Agency. He says, could you drop everything you're doing and go to Stanford Research Institute? There's a psychic down there, and if he can do what they claim he can do, we ought to be involved, because the Russians have a big program now going using what they call cyber warfare.
Now, Targ put off the two scientists who were in residence there at the time for quite a pair. First of all, Targ is legally blind, and he was one of the observers. Duh.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, did I hear that right?
So there's a blind guy who's watching over Uri Geller trying to prove that telekinesis and all these other techno-knowledges is real. And also, the government is taking notice because there are Russians working on the same thing. So this is a lot of that that Cold War psyop psychologist race that was going on. But I did like soundboard clip 1 for tonight because this might come in handy. We can just say, duh.
Now, was that duh or was that da?
Is that yes in German?
Duh. No, it's duh.
Oh, right.
That's the amazing Randy. All right, getting on the soundboard off the bat.
Sorry. Well, I can see how that's that kind of makes it a little bit more valid when the government takes interest because of police sometimes turning to psychics to help them solve cases.
It reminds me of The Men Who Stare at Goats. Remember that movie?
Oh,
that was
a good movie.
Yeah, he could have been thrown in there and been completely useless. But now we're gonna hear if Uri Geller can fool these psychologists from The Amazing Randy.
He fooled the pants off them. It was astonishing. They saw Nobel Prizes on the horizon, because if you discovered there really were psychic powers, that would certainly bring you a Nobel Prize or two.
When I made my report to the government that Geller was complete fraud, Targ and Puthoff realized they were not going to get the money from the government. So they took Geller on a tour to get publicity for him and to raise some private money to do the research with him.
I've been reading a lot of research on him from the Stanford Research Institute and from the science section of the New York Times. A lot of publicity on this gentleman whose name is Uri, U-R-I, Uri Geller. And we hope we're going to see some rather astounding things tonight. Would you welcome, please, Uri Geller.
Oh, did you hear it? Johnny Carson there. That's how big time he got immediately. They realized they're not going to win these Nobel Prizes, that this is going to be super debunked easily. So they let's hit the talk show circuit.
I mean, yeah, and again, it's just one of those, it validates it now. I mean, you get all kinds of people up on these TV shows nowadays that are people don't believe. I mean, look at all these shows, all these paranormal shows that are on, and you look at the footage and you're like, oh, come on, are you kidding? But back then,
there was
people didn't see it as much.
No, and yeah, it was easy to make a circus around something like this. They already had a name. They could say Stanford Research Institute. You even hear Johnny Carson say it. That was like they're billing that to everyone. So,
and he's got his bit. His whole bit is ready to go. He's ready for TV. Yuri Geller. Like, this is not. Yeah. It's not his first time when he does these things. You can tell he's rehearsed this shit a million times, and he's very good at the illusion for sure.
Yeah, and Johnny Carson, this wasn't his first television appearance, but it might be his worst. This is terrible. It's awful. And here he is meeting Johnny, and in front of him, though, I will say there is a table. They put out all kind of things for him to display his powers and use, like little watches and keys and metal and spoons and everything. So let's hear.
Nice to see you. Thanks. We have only met.
This scares me.
This scares you? Well, we just got some things together here, and as I said, as you progress and do what you want to do tonight, well, you can tell us what you would like to try, and
Whoa. Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
We'll leave it up to you.
I'll try when I'll really feel up to it, okay?
That's what I understand. I have seen you on television before, and you say that sometimes you have to be in a certain frame of mind. You sometimes will pass on a particular experiment because you honest and say, I don't feel it, or I am not getting the thought. Is that true?
That's true. I really have to be in the mood to do things and have them happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's setting up right away that he might mess this up. This is not guaranteed. And if you thought you heard Jesse Ventura in there, you were right. I was watching this. It said full video of the full appearance, and I wasn't expecting little pop-ups to be in it. So play soundboard 2.
Whoa. Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
I was confused by that. Whoa.
Where the hell did he come from?
And it's not even...
Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
It's not even Jesse Ventura. It's James Adomian Ventura on CBB, on Comedy Bang Bang. And I don't know why the whole video clip is just shoved in this like they wanted to add their own little soundboard clip. It is the only thing like that in there. It's a very, I don't know what's going on with this. Anyway,
weird.
This appearance.
It's funny because it actually was kind of relevant.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was.
Hold on, he's just going to take me on like that?
All right. I'm very happy to add that, though.
That's pretty good.
Great.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So this appearance, though, like I said, terrible. This appearance for Yuri, you can hear it right in the beginning. It's so awkward. And Johnny Carson, he just keeps trying to get him to do something. Anything. He's got all this stuff in front of him. He's not touching it. He's like, I've got some sealed pictures that you can guess. And he tries to entice him again. He's got the table of goodies. And then this happens.
All of these objects have been supplied by us. You did not bring anything here at all. We have a small, what you would call a file box with a die in it, which I understand sometimes someone can place the die in the box and shake it up, and you have a very good law of averages in naming the number that is on the top spot of the die without touching the box or opening it whatsoever. So, would you like to try anything here?
Why don't you ask some more questions?
Want me to ask you some more questions? You have
May I ask, when did you discover this power?
Okay, shut up, Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, he's there too. He's sitting next to him. What other questions does he need? He's like, I've got all this stuff. You're on TV. You're ready to go. He's like, at one point, I don't think it's in here. He's like, your producer said you had like 1,000 questions for me. He's like, no, you're here to bend things and do stuff.
How long does he think the show is?
He's pretty transparent about saying, like, look, I'm trying to buy some time here. Can you just let my engines warm up a little bit?
It reminds me of our first episode when they had the woman with the briefcase and they were like, what's in the briefcase?
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm seeing the briefcase.
They had to like add a little addendum at the end. Like a couple hours later, she figured out his lunch was in there or whatever that was.
Oh, no,
I'm not going to look at Ricardo Montalban the same after that because he was so close to having him. Had him against his heels, and Ricardo Montalban just got to chime in with some dumb question. Anyway, he finally attempts to do something. He tries to guess which one of those cylinders has the thing in it, that trick. He looks at them all. He never actually finishes the trick. This whole thing, this goes on for 20 minutes of the Johnny Carson show. At one point, they just stop it too, and it's like it's just like a station error or something. It just absolutely nothing.
They like cut to like we'll be right back screen, and it just was
like a guy.
It was just on the screen,
the camera, like sweating, like ah.
Yeah, it was very strange, awkward moment.
Oh God, that's cringy.
Mercifully, it ends like this.
What I mean is, for instance, in experiments, it's covered with bell jars, and there are cameras running, and many scientists looking at every point, although you're trying to do the same, but this is really not a controlled condition. But again, it's quite difficult for me, and I won't go on something that I don't feel strong for.
All right. Well, it doesn't leave us much, does it?
Wow, what an absolute letdown to get your chance to go on Johnny Carson.
Cover up the goddamned liar.
Yeah, and he had to be insulting on top of it, like kind of saying like, look, it's not me, it's you. I just don't like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. And this episode, this is about the amazing Randy. So why am I playing this? I'll tell you.
I don't know.
Amazing Randy had appeared on Johnny Carson many, many times. And when the show booked Uri Geller as a guest, they reached out to him to come on, but he wasn't able to. Instead, he told the producers of the show exactly what they needed to do to prevent Uri Geller from doing any kind of tricks on him. He figured out the carnival aspect of what this guy was doing. So we had it set everything up in a way where he would actually have to be telekinetic or metal changing ability or whatever to pull this off. So I'm going to call this is his first TV on-screen debunking that James the Amazing Randy did, and he wasn't even there.
It was really good. It was actually very well done. And I love that Johnny Carson and his people were like, all right, let's see what the fuck happens here. They were into it, you know?
Because on other shows, he'll go and do the tricks quite easily. And it was something about he looked at that table immediately and knew something was up. It was because it was set up in a way to where he would actually have to have that ability to be able to do it. And that's why he just stumbled and fumbled and stopped.
Yep. He knew it wasn't fixed in his favor anymore.
He immediately was like, I'm here to answer questions, actually.
God, that's kind of stuff. If you are,
I thought you were here to interview me. That's what I do.
If you're a BS artist and you think, oh, man, I'm top of my game. I'm going on this huge show. Oh, my God, what has happened? So
you know who he kind of reminds me of a little bit?
Interview me about golden rice.
That's a good one.
He reminds me of that lady from Florida too, who was like, "Oh, by the way, the interview ended, and I have to go now."
Yes. Hold on, I got her. Where is she?
Well, she wanted 0 questions.
Yeah, I guess it's the opposite. She wanted. He wants. Look, I thought you had more of these questions.
We just finished the interview, and I think we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, there she is.
Thank you. There she is. So James Randi, he wasn't done with Uri Geller because there's still the matter of those spoon bendings that, Uri's best material. So here's Amazing Randy on a show called Not for Women Only, hosted by a young Barbara Walters. And Barbara Walters is a Uri believer. She calls out Amazing Randy for trying to debunk him because she has Amazing Randy on her show and then says this.
Let me show some things he did with me. And I'm a pretty honest person, okay? I mean, we all know it.
I understand that,
no
yes.
kidding. This is my house key. Uri Geller took it. Let's take this other one. It's a matching key. He went like this with it, with his finger. That's all. No pressure. And the key bent. You can see that. And I've carried it around because I found that I'm a believer now. He also, people in the audience said that their keys bent. Well, I can't prove that, but I can prove that mine did. Here is my identical key. Touch it and make it bend.
All right, now it's become a challenge. And I think this is kind of why the world needed Uri Geller. Like Barbara Walters, was she just falling for everything back then?
She's an easy target.
I don't know. I didn't watch her much back then, but yeah, I mean, she's America's
Wait, hold
sweetheart.
on, Drea. You're telling me you haven't gone back and watched all of Not for Women Only?
It's on my list to do, and I feel like a really bad female.
It's like a prequel. It's a prequel to The View, I'm pretty sure.
It probably
kind of
is.
makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, boy. You know what a show for women only should be called? Not for Women Only. So
AKA The View. Yeah.
So he finds he's got an identical key. So she gives him a key. Let's see if he's up to this challenge.
I am going to see if this is a different one from this one. This one's a duplicate, am I correct?
Right.
This one has a stamp on it saying 207 West something. This doesn't have a stamp on it. You see the little stamp on it there?
Yeah.
Would you hold the end of it very lightly in between your fingers, Barbara? And I'm just going to stroke it. Now, I'm not putting enough pressure on it to bend it.
No.
Okay. I'm just going to stroke it with my fingers very lightly like this. Now, look at the bend that's in the other key.
No, I won't take my eyes off this key.
Very good. I'm glad to hear you say that. Will you show it to the camera, please? Now, is it bent as much as this key or not? Are you going to keep this key too, Barbara? On your keychain?
Oh, damn, I wish I could see what was happening.
Yeah, he bent the key, and I'm reminded of P.P. Warren again. There's a lot of stroking going on with that key in the
The way he does it is very sensual.
Yeah, you can't have magic without stroking, I think is the bottom line here.
I'm not keeping my eyes off you. Yes, very good, Barbara. You're
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
All of these, we've been saying it so many times, we just got to play it.
You turn this knob with one hand as you stroke the stick plate with the other, and when you feel that stick You leave that knob in the position it was in.
So, whenever I feel bad about like some long soundboard clip I'll make, I'll be reminded of that. I forget how long. Shut up. We know.
Oh, it's such a classic, though.
You got to stroke it.
But that's not the only trick that he debunked on this appearance on Not for Women Only. He had Barbara Walters make a drawing and seal it in an envelope, and somehow he was able to do that trick also. He was able to guess a drawing put in an envelope because Uri Geller had come on the show and done the same thing. And I gotta say, I still don't know how either of them did it. But
they just got lucky.
I don't know how. Yeah, they just drew it out, the same picture sealed up, but
maybe it's like a psychological thing, where they could just guess what people are most likely to draw. Like, okay, what are things that people draw? A stick figure?
Yeah. It's like a reverse Rorschach test is kind of what you're talking about.
It's like, okay, this person seems like they're going to draw a butterfly. I'm just going to guess a butterfly.
Uri Geller guessed that Barbara Walters drew 2 stick figures holding hands, and that was right. And all the Amazing Randy did was draw a stick house with a cloud, and that was actually right, too. It's so insane. It's like people know 3 drawings. It's like the next one would have been car, and that would have been it.
Yeah. It's like it's got to be the house with like the window that has, 4 panes and a sun, and the sun's wearing sunglasses. Yeah. That's what I draw every time.
One time I met a street illusionist at a party, and he was like doing tricks for people, and he did this trick where he was like, draw something on the back of this card, and I drew a spiral because I've never seen someone do a spiral in this situation, and he knew that's what it was. I don't know.
Yeah, you got duped, of course. He knew what was going on. You probably lost some money on that. I'm sorry, man.
I got to keep the card.
Was a man?
There you go. You got the picture frame behind.
Exactly.
You see it. We're on video. That's weird. All right. But it wasn't just telekinetic mentalists that Randy was looking to debunk, though, because I think he just got the feel for it when he could go after Uri Geller, because he's coming from being a magician, and this guy is claiming that he's a scientifically backed psychic. That he has every right to prove that it is all trickery because he knows better than anyone. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the 70s and 80s, man. Just weirdos abound. The 60s just puked them out, and they were everywhere. And this is something we've talked about very recently, channelers. So let's hear a little about these famous channelers from Amazing Randy.
This woman is J.Z. Knight. She's also the one they call Ramtha, a mystical male spirit 35,000 years old who claims to be divine.
You must understand that the so-called channelers were claiming that they could contact long-dead spirits. Now, not a few hundred years back. No, they were much more ambitious than that. Tens of thousands of years ago.
Indeed.
And they would speak in funny voices like this.
God bless you, Dr. Peeper. All right, I'll say, how are you this day of your time as you create time to exist?
They were very popular. They gave talks, huge prices for the seats.
There are often so many people, the Ramtha organization can earn up to $200,000 for a single appearance.
And you're my first 35,000-year-old guest.
It was such nonsense. I can't think of that technical term. Oh, yes, bullshit.
Love him. I love him so much.
I love him. So, yeah, evidently, I don't know what Ramtha, it was the Uri Geller of channelers at this time, bigger than we thought. Do you guys like that little mashup they did? They played some Ramtha. You heard Bashar in there, too?
Yeah, yeah.
On this very day.
In the time which you have created to be.
In this very day.
Create. Yes. But
whatever.
There's one guy. Okay, hold on. There's one guy I've never heard of, and we got to look into him. Play Soundboard 3, because I got to find this guy.
God bless you, Dr. Peeper.
Who is this?
Honestly, I hope that you
him.
don't find this guy, because I hate him already. Like, no, thank you.
God bless you, Dr. Peeper.
I'm sure one of our listeners is going to know who that is. So somebody please clue us into that, so that we can ignore him.
Yes. Oh,
there's a scene. By the way, we should mention what this. Did you mention what this documentary is called?
A lot of this, I want to say that not in the entirety of this episode, but a good amount of what you're hearing right now is from a great documentary that I'll talk about more about later. It's called An Honest Liar. It's great, and when you watch it, you'll say,
God bless you, Dr. Peeper.
No. Okay, I hope I don't. Maybe it's a good thing that I didn't watch this, that I failed to do my research yet again. I apologize.
The visual is actually worse, so that's why you got to watch that thing. This guy's... We'll find him.
They show like a bunch of them in a room together, which sounds like a nightmare. Imagine a bunch of channelers all channeling at the same time.
Oh my God, they're all trying to out-channel each other. Like, it'd be really funny if they all tried to channel each other.
Ramps like Bashar's and Abraham. That one guy's doing the spirit thing over there.
You heard the one big one. There was a one big one in there, we heard.
Indeed.
Oh, right. Son of a bitch.
Of course, they dropped the indeed.
They do.
You know, I hate her, but I miss Ramtha.
Oh,
well,
you're the only
congratulations, she's back. And so Chandler's now. Chandler's, this wasn't something that Randy, Amazing Randy, was actively going after. He was actually recruited to debunk them by another nation. Let's hear.
The Carlos hoax started when 60 Minutes Australia called Randy because they wanted to prove that channelers were a hoax. On that phone call, Randy told them that you couldn't prove that someone who said that they are inhabited by a spirit 40,000 years old is a false claim. What he said to them was, what we need to do is to create one.
Okay, so his idea, they 60 Minutes Australia, he tells them you can't prove that channelers are fake. The only thing you can do is make a fake channeler to prove how easy it is to be done.
Oh, okay. I see what he's saying. I was a little confused there.
Yeah, this part of the story is fascinating. I love the fact that they really pulled this off. They did this.
Amazing Randy is about to make Australians look really stupid. Amazing Randy, he creates this fake channeler named Carlos, a 2,000-year-old spirit who is played by just one of his young associates, a guy named Jose Alvarez. And apparently Australia was obsessed with channelers during this time. It's so obsessed that they have to reach out to our country, to our famed debunker, and be like, you got to stop this. These guys are everywhere. And they say that the purpose of making Carlos, this was not to humiliate these channeler followers, but to liberate them from what they believe was a false belief. So let's hear now some gullible Australian newsmen.
His name is Carlos, and you've probably seen him on television or mentioned in the press. Carlos is involved in the mystical field of channeling. Carlos, if you believe him, is a spiritual messenger who occupies the body of this 19-year-old Puerto Rican artist, Jose Alvarez.
The Carlos hoax was to show that the media would fall for both of these stunts if they sounded attractive enough, and they wouldn't really investigate too carefully.
Yeah, so it's kind of worked, as you can see, that Australia is so open to their channelers. Man, tricking an entire country and continent. It's actually easier than you might think, according to Randy.
So, one of the very first things we did to introduce Carlos to the public, we made up the press package that we presented to the Australian press. We even invented newspapers and magazines that never existed, theatrical magazines particularly, announcing the appearance of the great Carlos at such and such a theater that didn't exist. But no one in the media bothered to check up on one of these details. They could have picked up the phone and just checked, and they would have found out that they were being deceived.
So, Dre, do you think Australia could fall for this again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll make up some. We already got a podcast we could reference. We could do a fake interview with a channeler. I think we can go over there and
we should
take it over.
Maybe it's our duty now to show people how easy it is to make a fake podcast. Just making a bunch of fake podcasts.
I think a big part of this was that he had the best coach in the world for this.
Yeah,
Randy designed this character. He designed the bit. He designed every single one of the illusions. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get into it now, but he even took some things that he learned, tricks that he learned that some of these imposters were using, and he used it for his own.
Which, I mean, it is pretty brilliant.
Channelers, think about how easy it would be. I mean, just thinking about it, to be like, yeah, I mean, we all have a thing called dignity. We don't want to actually do something like that and go through it. But he had a person that was willing to help him and do this and put on this whole show.
Oh, I would so
continent.
Volunteer for that in a heartbeat, because I'm sure he's being compensated, or at least getting free hotel rooms or whatever.
They're
Carlos.
best friends. It's fine. That's his partner.
Well, they're a little more than best friends, but yeah.
I bet. I believe
that's
that.
Fine. We're worrying about this right now. But to really show the scope of this deception, here is the story covered on hard copy.
The well-orchestrated media campaign began as soon as his plane landed with a full-scale press conference.
Can you give us any idea of what this event might be?
It will be astronomical in nature.
In no time, Carlos and his manager found themselves an overnight success. When the Aussie press tried to debunk Carlos, as they did here on a national talk show, Carlos and company abruptly ended the interview, threw a glass of water at the host, and stormed off the set. That stunt had all of Sydney talking, and within 60 hours after stepping off the plane, Jose Alvarez had made 8 television and numerous radio appearances and had become headline news.
Carlos rules. He's throwing drinks on Australians. He's going on every show. Every show will have him. Every camera is in front of him. It's insane. And there's not a lot of actual footage, which it's so frustrating. I want to see more of Carlos. I couldn't find much, but play soundboard 4 because what's going to happen, Carlos? Is it going to be?
It will be astronomical in nature.
Yes, in nature.
I love this guy. Carlos. And just the fact that he named it Carlos is for some reason 2,000 years old.
Yeah, they definitely
Carlos.
just put some names into one of Randy's hats and they just pulled it out. They're like, let's go with Carlos. Oh, that works.
Why not?
There's nothing special about it.
350,000 years old and his name is Joe.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Carlos even performed at that famous Sydney Opera House where a young unbeliever Raymond and his wife got to see him. It's incredible.
What? No fucking way. Come on.
So not only did they see him, they got interviewed on the news.
What?
I know he's definitely psychic. There's something that I can feel coming from him.
I thought it was great. Very sincere, I thought.
Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do.
Oh. Wow.
Wow, Russ, I can't believe you got that interview. That's super
That's crazy. You look great when he was younger. Yeah, as a younger Raymond and his wife. Yeah, they're all in. They're all in. So that was after his famous Sydney Opera House performance. But a week after that performance, the whole stunt was revealed on 60 Minutes Australia. And following that, all channelers were banned to the wasteland, Mad Max style. They busted the deal.
The way that they edited in the documentary, too, they show all the people so excited, and they're like, oh, he's for real. There's something about, I don't know if he's a psychic, but there's definitely a power that he emits. I can't explain it, but you can tell it's real.
I think
and
he's
then immediately
cute.
afterwards is them being like, yeah, this is bullshit. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
And like just squashes all of that.
Oh, man, that was good shit, though.
That was the whole point. He wanted to just kind of shatter that entire image that the world of channeling had by showing how easy it is to dupe him. He would do things like he would just hold a giant crystal and just like move it around, and he dressed very quote unquote spiritual looking in like silk pajamas. He looked the part. He definitely looked the part.
Oh man, if that's all it takes, really, is the silk pajamas. Like, I could do it. I would volunteer to do it.
Yeah, coming to the Unbelievers podcast store, silk pajamas pretty soon.
There you
I
go.
think it's the right fabric. It's just very conducive to your psychic abilities. It helps.
We got Gary.
There's something about
we'll
the
have
silk.
like Gary
There's just something
Spivey
about
wigs,
it.
and we'll have those silk pajamas, and we will be so quarantined,
So
relaxed,
comfortable.
so chill. It's gonna be great.
Sleep so good.
And that's my favorite thing about Amazing Randy is he goes all over the paranormal, unbelievable map. And one of my favorite famous debunkings of his was when he decided to go after faith healers, who, a lot like channelers in Australia, were everywhere in the 80s. And one faith healer in particular, a man named Peter Popoff.
You've got cancer of the stomach? Are you ready for God to burn that cancer out?
A man like Reverend Peter Popoff was a very dangerous man. In my estimation, he was a real scoundrel because he was taking people's faith in their religion. He was taking away their security. In many cases, he was harming them physically because he was convincing them that they didn't have to go to doctors anymore, that Jesus had healed them.
If you've got pills as an act of faith, I want you just to throw them out the aisles. Those of you up in the balcony, just throw them over the side. Amen. Throw them over the side. Throw them over the side.
I hate these guys. I'd watch 1,000 Hell's Bells before having to endure one of these. It's terrible.
Yes. These are the true sacks of shit. The people who, not just take people's money and get rich off of them. It's one thing to get money from people who are like voluntarily seeking you as entertainment, but when you're endangering people's lives and you're giving them false hope, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's been more deserving to just immediately be entered into the fucking sack of shit Hall of Fame as much as
he's in.
Right.
Petey Popoff or whatever the hell that guy's name is.
Peter Popoff. This guy, the amazing Randy, he just becomes obsessed with this guy, this Peter Popoff. So here is more.
So you have Popoff, who's going around a congregation and just seemed to be able to hear the voice of God and know all about people, even their addresses. He would call it out. Everyone's impressed.
Is that John 3784 Archwood Road? God is burning those blood clots out of his veins, out of his arteries. There it is.
So he was doing a mentalism act, it appeared, and we wondered how he got the information.
Yeah, and that's called doxing now also. I don't think that's cool the way he's like, yeah, you, 329 Mayberry Road, you come here. You could not do that now. People would be so upset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one, it's a lot easier to do it now, but it's also just as easy to have plants in the audience where they've volunteered that information ahead of time and then acted real surprised when they found out, like, oh my God, how did he know that about me?
Yeah, and watching some of the videos of these guys, Peter Popoff, man, there's one dude in particular, it's very dramatic, is really kind of like tubby, nerdy looking dude, and like he heals him, and he throws his cane away, and he does like the stupidest dance ever. It's so like, dude, you're like, this guy, this is the fakest thing.
The clip with the little boy and the mother pissed me off so much, where the mother's like...
I think we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So, he's... Amazing Randy has his eye set on this Peter Popoff guy. So now Randy and a man who now goes by the name of Banachek, he is a mentalist, but he was